Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, over the weekend I was cleaning out my shop, getting rid of a bunch of crap I got lying around here, and I came across this old saw blade that I had off one of my saws. Carbide tip blade off of my metal cutting saw. And I went to throw it away and I decided that maybe I'm going to hang on to this. I think this would be a great opportunity and a great piece of metal to use for making a knife. Now, I've never made a knife before. I've seen a couple of videos online, and my hat's off to those knife makers. They make some pretty incredible stuff. But I understand that this metal here is just a little bit harder than conventional cold rolled or mild steel or sheet metal, and maybe this would make for a good piece of metal to make a nice knife. Now, I don't have any kind of forge or any heat treating equipment, and I'm not too worried about that because this is my first go around, and this is just going to be used for a shop or a utility knife right here in the shop. And so if everything goes well, maybe we'll take it to the next step. For now, let's take this piece of blade and see if we can make a knife. Let's get started. Okay, so I get started with using a silver pencil and just scribing the shape of a knife onto the blade here. And, you know, I got to say it took a couple of times for me to get this the way I wanted it. And this is a pretty decent looking shape for a knife, I thought. So I kind of just went with it. And it looks pretty good. So I clamped it down on my welding table and just grabbed the cutoff wheel. And as you know, you can't cut round corners with this, but you can cut small radiuses. And I was able to get that cut out, the small radiuses. And once I was able to get everything cut out, as you can see, it took a little bit to get it all, but hey, ultimately got it all cut out right here. I took it over to the belt sander and just kind of fine-tuned the radius edges as much as I could with the belt sander. I couldn't get some of the angles with it, but I was able to shape it up the best I could with the belt sander right here. And then what I couldn't get, I just took over to the Yoast and just took a file and took my time and just kind of shaped things up the best I could. The handle took a little bit of work right here, but you know, ultimately I got it the way I wanted to, and turned out pretty good. The next step was to put the beveled edge on. Now, I got to say, I've never done anything like this, and so this is my first time of doing anything. And I started out and it got really, really hot, so I've got a glass of water there, and so every time I made a pass, I just doused it in the water, and it cooled things down. It probably helped for keeping the edge nice and neat on the blade, not overheating it. And then here's, I just took it over and grabbed a flap disc, and this is the mistake that I made. This is an 80 grit flap disc, and that's the finest that I had, and you can see it kind of cut some swirls in the metal that ultimately I had a hard time getting out no matter what I did there. So here I'm just drilling through here. These are 1/4-inch holes for the handle, and I had a hell of a time with this. I went through 4 drill bits. I didn't realize that 3 out of the 4 drill bits that I had were extremely dull, so it ultimately took me to the 4th bit right here, which finally was sharp. And if I can get my fat, ugly hands out of the way, I'll show you that ultimately we were able to cut through that. And there it is. So those are the 1/4-inch holes we need. And then this is a piece of zebra wood for the handle. This is a leftover piece from a project I did a couple of weeks earlier. And I thought this wood was so cool that this is the only piece I had left over, and I knew I was going to use it for something, and here it is. So really nice piece of wood, got a nice grain to it. I just took it to the bandsaw and just cut out the shape of the knife. That went really smooth. You know, the zebra wood is not real hardwood. It's hardwood, but not really super hard. It makes it easy to work with pretty good. Then once I got that done, I just clamped it to the blade itself to drill the holes all the way through. So ultimately, when I do epoxy the handle together here, that you know, hopefully the holes will line up and everything will work out really good. Now I need to cut this thing in half, and you know, I just grabbed a piece of cardboard right here and just got what I thought is about half of the half of the material, and I just ran it through the bandsaw right here, and there you go. Well, that's 2 halves. Those are the handles. Now this is I'm using aluminum dowels because that's all I had was aluminum. You know, maybe brass would have been the way to go, but I didn't have brass. I had aluminum, so I think it'll be just fine. Just mixing up the epoxy right here. And now the important thing is I think is to be sure that everything gets completely covered with epoxy. I don't really want to miss anything, so I really put it heavy on there, and I actually put some on the blade itself. I just don't want to be sure that everything is completely covered. And once I did that, then it was time to try to stick everything together, and this became a bit of a challenge here. I did get a little worried at first. I didn't think I was going to be able to line everything up, and I've got epoxy drying, and I was trying to in a hurry, but ultimately I got it done, and I clamped everything together really nice and tight, and I actually left it for, I think, 24 hours, overnight anyway. I probably didn't need to. This is quick drying. It probably would have been good after about 30 minutes, but it got late this night, so I went ahead and just left it overnight, and here it is the next day. I just took everything off, and now it's time to shape the handle up a little bit. I took it over the belt sander and just started grinding everything down and shaping the handle up, and starting to take shape and starting to look pretty good. I was able to get most of it on the belt sander, but again, the stuff that I couldn't get, I had to take over to the vise, and with a file and some emery cloth and some sandpaper, I was able to get the final shape of the handle and got it to where it was feeling pretty comfortable. Took a little bit of work right here in the very, very bottom. I spent a lot of time trying to get that right down there, trying to get that metal to come straight through, right, and you can see that it took a little bit of work to get that metal look, but ultimately there it is. And I put about 3 or 4 coats of tung oil on there, and that really enhanced the grain of the wood and made it look really nice. All right, there we go. My first crack at making a knife, and I gotta say I'm pretty pleased with the way this turned out. You know, I made a couple of mistakes along the way right here. When I cut the metal out, I used a flap disc with about 80 grit, and I got some scratches on the metal right here, and I tried everything I could to get those scratches out, and I just couldn't get them out, but that's all right. I'm not too worried about that. But a really nice added touch to this knife right here is this zebra wood. I just finished a project with this here about a week or so ago, and I had some leftover wood, and this made for a really nice handle on this knife right here. But you know what? All in all, I'm pretty pleased with the way this turned out for my very first knife, and it's not razor blade sharp, but it does cut paper, and you know, that's probably good enough for what I'm going to be using it for here in the shop. So there it is, my very first knife. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.